They torched my food, said it violated aesthetics. But when winter hit and pipes froze across the neighborhood, I held the only working well and the legal rights to its water. Suddenly, the same board members who burned my stockpile were begging with empty buckets in hand. I wasn't a doomsday prepper, just practical. After the 23 blackout left us without heat for days, I invested in solar panels, insulated my attic, and quietly built a modest winter stockpile. Canned beans, firewood, blankets, and a rainwater cistern. My shed was tidy, tucked behind the garage, barely visible from the street. But the HOA didn't care about function, they cared about visual harmony. When I submitted plans for a covered woodrock, they rejected it outright. Clutter, they called it. I offered to paint it to match the fences, no compromise. Meanwhile, the forecast warned of a historic polar vortex. I stocked up more. They watched and waited. I thought they'd come with fines. I never imagined they'd come with matches. I woke to the smell of smoke and the crackle of flames. My entire winter stockpile, canned goods, firewood, emergency blankets, was piled at the curb and burning. HOA contractors stood nearby, arms crossed, smirking. Violation cleanup, one said, nodding to a clipboard. Police arrived, but shrugged. It's on the easement. Civil matter. Firefighters hosed it down only after embers threatened a neighbor's mailbox. No arrests, no consequences, just ashes where my security used to be. Neighbors peeked through blinds but stayed silent, afraid of fines, of being next. That night, I pored over HOA bylaws and county records, and there it was, a forgotten clause from 1921. My deed included rights to the old artesian well beneath my property, long capped but legally mine. While everyone else relied on fragile municipal lines, I grabbed my tools. If they wanted to play dirty, fine, but water, that was mine to control. The cold hit like a hammer. By dawn, temperatures plunged to -15 degrees Fahrenheit. Trees snapped, cars wouldn't start, and by noon, the municipal water system failed. Pipes burst under the frost, leaving the entire neighborhood dry. No showers, no flushing toilets. Panic spread fast. Elderly residents rationed bottled water. Kids went without baths for days. Then came the knock. It was Greg, the HOA president, the same man who'd signed off on burning my stockpile. His face was pale, breath fogging in the air. "We need water," he said, voice tight. "Mrs. Ellis hasn't had a drink since yesterday." I stepped aside and gestured to my backyard. There it stood, the restored artesian well, capped with a gleaming pump, steam rising gently from its flow, clean, warm, unfrozen. "But you can't just turn it on for us," he asked. I handed him a printed page. County Water Rights Code, Section 7.3. Private well owners aren't required to share, but if you submit a formal request with proper liability waivers, I'll consider it. His eyes widened. The man who'd called me a blight on the community now clutched that paper like a lifeline. And for the first time, I held all the power and used it legally, calmly, and completely. Within 48 hours, the HOA held an emergency vote. The aesthetic storage rule repealed unanimously. My shed, my woodpile, even my cistern, they were now community resilience assets. Former critics showed up at my gate with apology baskets, canned peaches, wool socks, handwritten notes. One included a gift card to the hardware store for well maintenance. I accepted politely, but kept the well under my control. I did donate water to the community center and elderly neighbors, no questions asked. But for the HOA board, they filled out forms, signed waivers, and waited their turn like everyone else. No special treatment, no backdoor favors, just fairness. At the next meeting, Greg stood up and said, "We underestimated preparedness." I didn't respond. I just smiled, because they finally understood. What they called clutter was actually courage. And in a crisis, courage doesn't look pretty. It looks like survival. In the end, I never wanted control. I just wanted to be ready. But that's the truth no one sees until it's too late. Preparedness isn't paranoia. It's responsibility. And sometimes the system only respects you when you hold something they can't live without. So I'll ask you, have you ever been punished for being ready? For stacking wood, saving water, or speaking up before disaster struck? Drop your story below. I read every comment. If this reminded you to check your emergency plan, top like. It helps others find this before their crisis hits. And remember, in a world that mocks foresight, staying ready might just be the quietest form of rebellion. Stay safe, stay smart, and never apologize for being prepared.